So right now it's April 2nd in Southern Ontario. What time is it? It's around 1 p.m. So I'm in Hamilton, Ontario. The videos that are going to be part of this vlog that precede this happen to be from April 1st, so the day before. It was sunny, not a drop of precipitation, nothing on the ground. This amount of snow accumulation has happened within the past 20 minutes. Interestingly enough, tomorrow is supposed to go up to, I think, 19 degrees Celsius. This just allows me a brief opportunity to make some commentary that I've made for a long time. Southern Ontario has weather that fluctuates a lot. Jokingly, I say I trust people as much as I trust Southern Ontario weather because it's going to go up and down. This is just an example of it. My sister's birthday is April 1st, so she has a pretty solid memory of what the weather around her birthday is like. So sometimes it snows on her birthday, sometimes it snows after her birthday, but she's got a pretty good landmark. So just showing this because if you ever hear me talking about Southern Ontario weather, this is a quick example of how quickly it can change. So tomorrow, like I said, it's supposed to go up to plus 19. It's also supposed to be super windy because then overnight, tomorrow night, I think it's supposed to go down to 1 or 2 degrees. So, in March into early April, we will often see 20-degree swing Celsius in a day. So there you go. Just to show you some stuff that you can experience in Southern Ontario. And then Southern Ontarians, apparently, since I am one, I may not detect this as well, but people from other parts of the province do tell me that people in Southern Ontario talk about the weather a lot more than others. Or a lot more than people in other parts of the province is a better way to say that. So it's now April 3rd. With what I showed you with respect to the snow and ice accumulation in about half an hour yesterday, this is the next day. Exact same place. We'll call it 26 hours after, something like that. So a day and a bit after, but most of the snow and ice was gone by the morning because the temperature went up overnight considerably. And this is Southern Ontario. This is what you get. There are some spots, I have to admit, that are in snow belts in Southern Ontario, so they tend to get a lot of snow, but less general lack of snow. But we got weird weather here. It's very, very up and down. So I'm going to just show some stuff that I'm using to attempt to build some concepts and also build some continuing education courses, as well as input into the Osteopathic Lyceum for those we're training to become osteopathic practitioners. So I want to zoom in right here. It wasn't much of a zoom, but whatever. Household Osteopath by Francis J. Fiedler, D.O., 1906. So talk about things like cranial osteopathy, and I think it was somewhere in the 30s. I feel like somewhere in the 30s that William Sutherland put out the cranial bowl. I might be wrong about that. I'm going off memory, and memory is tricky. But I want to show this. So this is 1906. 1906, we start to get into this. Where are we at here? Treating the eyes, So working in the region of the face, at least, we have, what's this one for? Classic treatment for headaches. So essentially inhibition of the base of the skull. Clearing the head and the nose. So this is going to be more about the sinuses. But just really quickly read this. Press firmly with the thumbs upon the forehead between the eyebrows for a minute, then rest a moment and repeat 4 or 5 times. A variation giving the same effect may be used by pressing hard with the open hand on the forehead in the same way. So you're just adding pressure to the head and the nose, right? So just the point here is to say that osteopathic practitioners have been working in the region of the head from before the cranial concept, as some people like to talk about it, was even a thing. So we have, what do we have here? Treating the supraorbital notches. This is really more about V1 or cranial nerve 5 branch 1. Treating the nose. So this is pressing on the nose and rolling your fingers down or circular motion, creep down the sides of the nose without allowing the thumbs to slip on the skin. Repeat 5 or 6 times. Treating the temples, going to wiggle your fingers around the front of their skull and apparently get nowhere near their temples. Repeat 6 times. Treating tender spots in the head. We've got for nose bleedings. What's this saying? Place the thumbs on the upper lip just beneath the nose and the fingers at the angle of the jaws upon a notch that is found there. Hold with a firm steady pressure for 3 or 4 minutes. If you hold something for 3 or 4 minutes, coagulation might occur. So I'm not 100% sure that did what they thought that it did, or worked the reason they thought that it worked. But again, just working on the jaw here, so being anterior to the ear tab. I never remember the proper anatomical term for that. Have them open and then, wedge behind as they open. Treating the 5th cranial nerve. So what is wrong with me? I never remember it. Whatever, V. But basically kind of poke around behind the angle of the jaw and the soft tissues. There we go. This is one that's interesting. Inhibiting the phrenic nerve, right? So just holding on, with the fingers press against the front of the spine in the middle of the neck using considerable pressure, which must be maintained for 2 minutes. But this is definitely only going to get the phrenic nerve, 100%. Inhibiting the superior cervical ganglion. I don't think he knows that the ganglion is in front of the cervical lateral masses or the cervical TVPs. I just don't think he knows it's in front of, because he's holding behind, and apparently that's going to do it. That's not one. Where are we getting to? There's a vagal nerve one. Inhibiting the vagus nerve at the junction of the collarbone and breastbone and under the muscle that goes from side to side of the skull to the collarbone. Press upward against the collarbone firmly and steadily for a minute. So just hold on for a minute. That'll inhibit the vagus nerve. You want to stimulate the vagus nerve, do something really similar to the phrenic nerve, but wiggle it. Place the fingers beneath the muscle that goes from side to side of the skull to the collarbone at the place indicated in the illustration with some pressure. Roll the muscle between your fingers for half a minute. So for 30 seconds, go ahead and roll everything. There's definitely some assumptions being made here just because anatomy is in a certain place. Where are we here? This is this is Dane Tasker, Principles of Osteopathy. This is from later. I can actually probably find it here. Where are we going? So this clip will roll around for a little while. Whatever. It's probably, it's got to be Principles of Osteopathy. They're all called Principles of Osteopathy. Osteopathic Physician. This is on the Museum of Osteopathic History website. There's a lot of stuff available. Where are we going? 1916. So this is from 1916. Nerve stimulation. So stimulation between the zygoma and the sigmoid notch of the inferior maxilla. Whatever. But working in the region of the head. Forcible closure of the mouth against resistance. This is more TMJ stuff. This is Vulcan mind melding, or live long and prosper. It's the locations at which the 5th cranial nerve exit, V1, V2, and V3. There's little notches. So, I jokingly call this live long and prosper. Points of exit of divisions of the 5th cranial nerve. If you hold on to it, you inhibit it. If you stimulate or you wiggle, you excite it. Maybe. Right? They're making assumptions based on the location of things, that it's going to work the way you want it to work. So inhibition of the phrenic nerves, right? So same as the one from 1906 in the Household Osteopath. You have them sitting up and you just kind of hold on. Stimulation of the pneumogastric nerves, and I'm pretty positive that's the vagus, an older term for the vagus. But you kind of grab and roll between your fingers. Physicians' fingers roll over the nerve trunk where it lies along the inner edge of the sternocleidomastoid. So just showing you that early in osteopathy, they were working on particular things. There is evidence of this, and they were making assumptions, sometimes maybe accurately, sometimes maybe inaccurately, about because the anatomy's here, it must mean it works this way. I can say, at least with respect to inhibition of the vagus nerve, or holding the vagus nerve, the recurrent laryngeal, when you place pressure medial to the SCM around the sternoclavicular joint, around the SC joint, and you have consistent measurement of heart rate will drop and then it will roll up a little bit, or it'll flutter up a little bit, and then it will drop and flutter up. It will kind of get to a floor, and it'll continue to flutter above that as far as BPM, and flutter back down to it as far as BPM, and it's a term that I've heard called vagal escape. So maybe it works the way they said, maybe it doesn't. They were simply going on, the anatomy's here, therefore it must be doing what I say it's doing. If you measure the things, it doesn't always do the thing you say it's doing. So just wanted to show that we're looking at these things across time. We're going to original sources as best we can, and the similar thing seems to pop up, or the similar phenomenon seems to pop up. Osteopathic work is really good. The stories might be a little bit off.